Hello, 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 hello. You're listening to Conscientious Conversation. And I'm your host, Will Prophet. I hope your day is going extremely well. I hope your day is satisfactory beyond satisfaction. So, today's episode is going to be about, we got 6 months to go, okay? For those of you that listen on a continuous basis, for those of you that follow me on social media, you know that I am all about betterment. I'm all about growth. I'm all about self-care. I tell people all the time, you really can't help others unless you have self-care yourself. You have to, people, you've heard me say this, people get where, if I focus on myself, that's going to be considered selfish, or I'm going to come off as selfish, I'm going to come off as vain or conceited or whatever. But in order to help a person become a better them, you have to be a better you. And it can't be fake. I'm going to say that again. In order to help a person become a better them, you have to be a better you. So, I am very goal-oriented. I believe in visualization. I believe in talking out your problem, putting thought to it. With people that know me, when I was growing up, I remember people used to say, you talk a lot. And I never really, I always saw that as a negative. I was like, wow, okay, well, are they telling me I talk too much? I don't think, and then later I learned from one of my mentors that, this was what he said. Every time I talked, he got something out of it. And the something that he got out of it was always positive. So that led me to believe that in my talk, someone was being helped. But I always tell people I talk a lot, but you know what else? I listen a lot. I actually listen more than I talk. I've actually studied this myself. I actually listen more than I talk. And a lot of times I can re-remind a person. I have the ability to re-remind a person what they said. Oh, you told me that you were going to do this, exact words, exact dates, times. And not so much for chastising them, but sometimes we get off track. Life gets in the way, especially this time of the year. Especially as we're going into the warmer time of the year, there's a lot of distractions, man. There's a lot of distractions. How you set your day, how you start your day out is not the same. It's not the same. And so, look, you got 6 months. A lot of those goals, where we at? That's what you got to do. You got to take inventory right now. Take inventory. Take today, stop what you're doing, take 15, 20 minutes, and take an inventory of those goals that you set at the beginning of the year. Those goals you set at the beginning of the year that you said, in 90 days, I want to have this done. I want to accomplish this. In 6 months, I want to accomplish this. I want to accomplish that. Maybe you do yours a little different. Maybe you do your goals instead of 3-month increments. Maybe you do 4-month increments. Okay, so irregardless if you're a 3-monther or if you're a 4-monther, the reality here is, look at where we're at. We're halfway through the year. We're halfway, 6 months. We're already 6 months into 2025. Where are you at? Take inventory. Okay, take inventory of where you're at. Okay, some of you Some of you haven't even started on those goals, right? Some of you haven't, you haven't even opened the box, so to speak. But then there's some of you that might be closer than you think. But time getting away, you're tired, you're fed up, your back hurts, your neck hurts, your body hurts, whatever it is, you got to go past that. And I don't believe in being preachy. I don't, I am not as I tell people all the time, and if you listen to the podcast, don't know, I could show you. Don't know how, I could teach you. Won't do, you can't do anything with won't do. You can't do nothing with a person that won't do. Okay? We believe in free will. We believe in free will here. So we don't, this is not where, I'm trying to berate you into doing for you or force you or talk you into or negotiate with you. At the end of the day, if that goal was important for you to set 6 months ago, 3 months ago, then it should still be important to you. If you were able to take time out, if you were willing to take time out your day, take time out your life to say, I want to do this, whether you said it verbally or whether you wrote it down, okay? Or whether you put it on, you wrote it down, put it on the refrigerator, or you put it in your tablet, you put it in your phone as a reminder. Another thing I'm going to say while I'm talking about that, you've heard this, if you've listened to different episodes, I believe in, I believe in, you should have a person in your life to help you stay on track with some of those goals. Just like if you were working out at a gym and you brought in a personal trainer. Yeah, you can work out at the gym by yourself, but there's some parts of it, whether you got a personal trainer for the whole thing or you got a personal trainer just for that specific thing. Maybe you want to work on your stomach, you want to work on your glutes, you want to, whatever it is that you might say, I got trouble in this area, so I'm a hire help, or I'm a get a trainer. Just like you have a trainer for working out, just like you have a trainer if you start a new job, just like in football, basketball, any sports, they have trainers. You should have a trainer in your life. I'm not so much on board with the term life coach. I believe in life. I'm a life trainer. Okay. I believe in I believe in giving you the information, making you aware of the information, telling you the information in the sense of, giving you the information, not telling you you're going to do this. You're going to, because at the end of the day, you're only doing that because I'm telling you to do it. You're only doing that because I'm ordering you to do it. Okay? And that's force-fed. And force-fed is not good. Even when it comes to something like love, you want to force-feed love? You don't want to force-feed love. They either love you or they don't love you, right? And if they don't, then you have to find somebody that does love you. And if you, again, a lot of times, the change, I'll say this too. A lot of times the change is not us. You get a lot of people that's like, oh, you need to change. You need to change. You need to change. A lot of times the change is not us. The change is them. Before you take that stand, before you pick up the flag that the change is not you, make sure that the change actually is not you. I come from the business world. Those that know my story, I come from the business world, at a very young age. I come from sectors like retail. I come from sectors like, industry, development, distribution, export. I come from that, real estate. I come from those industries. But the reason why I was able to navigate in multiple industries where someone else would have a career that spans all these years and they were always in that same space. My career, I was able to venture into those other spaces, most of the time, pretty much because sometimes, if the situation called for me to be the guy, I was the guy. If the situation called for me to take a step back and let someone else be, if the situation called me to take 3 steps back, 5 steps back. I mean, in some endeavors, people would walk in and, I would be the guy, I'd be sweeping the floor, or I'll be vacuuming, or, replacing the toilet paper on the toilet paper roll and paper towel roll, right? Cleaning up the lunchroom. If that's what was required of me, my title within that never needed to be, stroked or anything like that. So, but sometimes you're not the one that needs to change. The person needs to change. And I said that, about the different industries, because it was interesting. Even when I was in the entertainment, that's another one. I was in the entertainment industry, still am. And in the entertainment industry, it was interesting because people are very quick to tell you, walk away. Why don't you go get a real job? This isn't what, I listened to, several people say that, especially the artists, those people out there that are artists, exactly what I'm talking about. And just know, if whenever it's not necessary, you shouldn't follow your dream or you shouldn't follow your passion. It's just that, as you've heard me talk about, you got to eat too, right? So you can't, what you have to do is you have to be able to, give a little bit of both. I'll share this part too. When I first learned to drive, I actually learned to drive a car when I was 13. I learned to drive, the first car I ever learned to drive was a stick shift. And so I learned to drive a car when I was 13. Don't get me wrong. I played around like most of us earlier, at age 10 or 11, I would go sit in the car and make the vroom vroom sounds and act like I was driving. But I actually learned to get, to drive, at that age. And by time, and I got my license very early, where most people don't get their license until they go to like driver's ed or high school or something like that. I was able to get my license pretty early, considering the whole kind of, situation that happened. And I was very fortunate with that. I was able to help out a lot, my family, and I was able to do a lot of things, a lot of positive things because of that. But what I'm really going at is that as you take on that, following your dream and following what your passion versus like, trying to pay the bills and put food on the table and things like that, you have to navigate where I tell people all the time, you got to dwindle down. You might have to start off, somewhere where, you're working full time, and then you go down to part time, and then you go down to no time. And so, but I don't want to get off track here. I just wanted to, bring out that, hey, we're at the 6-month mark. So that goals and those things that you wrote down, they're important. So let's just, let's get it. Okay. Let's get it. Let's not backtrack or anything like that. Let's go after those goals. Let's wrap this thing up. Like I said, some of you haven't even started. Those of you that haven't started, you need to get started. Those of you that have already, started, you're halfway through it, or you're a little ways. You might be closer than you think. You really might be closer than you think. So get out there and let's get it. You've been listening to Conscientious Conversation. I'm your host, Will Prophet. and go have a great, great day.